either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Let's get drunk and fight a bear. Let's get drunk and fight a bear.
In New York.
Yes. Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. I'm Let's Get Drunk and Fight a Bear Nico.
And I'm Chris.
And the movie we are reviewing today for our last episode in year 3 of The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. I think that quote summarizes this movie quite well.
Yes, it truly does.
But before we do anything, I do have to give a shout out to Laugh's community for that, because in a weird little bit of serendipitousness, Laugh is playing through Weird West, and first, I don't know where it started. There's a mantra and chants in it now for us to say, let's get drunk and fight a bear.
Nice.
But I do specifically have to say thank you to Lude Liz and Cloud Guardian for coming up with that mantra, and Pookie for saying that they could hear the episode starting out, or hear an episode starting out like that without them knowing that we were doing an episode with a bear fight.
A bad bear fight.
Yes.
And what are we doing?
We are doing real quick before we get into that.
Oh.
We are ending this year with something my cousin pointed out. That our podcast was sorely lacking in, and that is a lack of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
And they're right. They are completely right. How have we missed this wonderful man?
Yes, and because we needed a little bit of a break from doing long research for The Lord of the Rings, we settled on none other than Hercules in New York, his most famous of all roles.
You've seen it, I'm sure, right? The one where he's not credited as Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's credited as Arnold Strong.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry, Riley. You should have expected this from us.
But also, now that I've seen this movie, I am putting this sucker in my repertoire, and I'm pulling this bad boy out.
Yes.
Anytime I need it.
Oh,
it's terrible, but I love it.
There is something to it.
This is my kind of movie right here.
I think it's both of our kind of movie, honestly.
Because this is Arnold's debut film outside of the stage as his
Yes. I have a little bit on that in a second.
And so the dialogue's rough. The acting's rough, and this is the debut of the director, Arthur Schleiderman.
Yeah.
He directed theater before this, which it shows. And he does go on to direct more, but it's a lot of TV movies. But he did direct 5 episodes of Murder, She Wrote, so, I consider him famous.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Hercules in New York is a 1970 action comedy fantasy film. Like you said, it is directed by Arthur Allen Shieldman, and it was written by Aubrey Weisber. Like you said, it does star Arnold Schwarzenegger in his debut film.
Yes.
Along with Arnold Stang and Deborah Loomis.
Yep.
This was also the debut film of Settleman as a director. And you would probably recognize him more now as the director of the TV musical Christmas Carol, the musical, which starred Kelsey Grammer.
But if you're a Christmas Carol person like I was, you're gonna go, which one?
I have no clue.
This was not high on my list. However, I do know him because he directed several episodes of some soaps that my grandma likes.
Oh, okay.
Which is hilarious because a lot of the cast ends up in soaps that my grandmother used to also like.
I did not realize that.
I had to do some digging because I honestly didn't recognize a lot of the faces in this movie.
I recognize one besides Schwarzenegger, really.
Yeah. Same.
But on the opposite side of everything, this was the last movie to be written by Aubrey Weisber.
Yes.
And so, normally, when it comes to the plot of this movie, I like to give my own little, brief summary of it, but,
the summary is the plot.
I would rather read the comical plot described by IMDb's plot.
Oh, I'm so glad you found this as well.
Hercules is sent to Earth where he finds true love and starts a promising career in the bodybuilding business.
Which is a very loose description of the plot.
Not even a description. It's very little about the whole movie at all.
And honestly, the bodybuilding, it's not even really bodybuilding in the movie.
No. It's wrestling.
And then kind of weightlifting? Question mark?
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, he doesn't really have a career. He just kind of goes to Earth and fucks shit up.
Yeah. Like his father. Like father, like son.
Yes. And we'll get into that more.
Yeah. And so, just to give a little bit of breakdown, I have done some research, but very little, because
there's honestly not a lot.
There's not a lot. There's no commentary, and because I am who I am, I spend too much time doing other random research rabbit holes. So,
yeah, and like we mentioned before, I mean, with the exception of Arnold, the cast isn't completely unknown.
No,
but none of them ever moved on to big stardom like Arnold did.
Not really.
No, we've got a couple of people who were in 1 or 2 horror movies that maybe you would know. Got several soap operas.
Yeah.
We've got one who, if you're like me and you're from the wrong decade, you're gonna recognize him, but for the most part, this is just a goofy movie.
Yep.
That we happen to have.
And before we get into the movie, Chris, what are we drinking today?
We got some whiskey and an ice cube.
We got some Johnny Walker Red Label, because that is the only thing we've ever seen anyone drink in the movie.
Consume it at all.
And it's just fitting for us to get drunk and fight some bears.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. I like it.
I do too.
So good.
I should have asked Erica what they say in Greece for saluting.
I don't know, but I know in New York they don't say it.
No.
This movie's hilarious because the entire thing, with the exception of some flash scenes to Zeus on quote unquote Mount Olympus, which is just Central Park.
Yeah.
Everything is so New York, it kind of hurts.
Yes and no. I have a little bit on that.
Okay.
So Hercules in New York.
Yes.
It starts off with something we were a little confused with, a Toonversal company logo that appears.
Yeah. I mean, it's cute as all hell.
So here's what I could find. Here's the thing. I couldn't find much on them because we were just like, what the hell is this?
This isn't a cartoon. There's no animation in this.
And we did actually start watching this movie together for once. And the first time in a long time, and we got about halfway through it before you had to head back home.
But don't worry, we got the best parts in.
Yes. But other than the duck, I guess the duck is from an image called Pojo the Weredrake, which there was a trademark for both of these filed in 1995 and 1992.
Okay.
And it was first used in 1986, but it looks like it's since expired and the trademark is listed as dead/canceled, so
I can use this duck on things.
Yeah. There's like one other thing it's appeared on, I guess, and it's some cartoon, but like it's nowhere else. That's
too bad because he's cute as hell and I'd watch a whole movie with this thing.
I think he looks like a... What's the right term to put this?
Say it.
If Donald Duck had a cousin named Beelo.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
To saying it without saying it. The duck looks, it's so weird. It is an
odd art style where it's not really Disney-ish. It's not really Bluth-esque. It's not really Deviant Art Creator-esque. But it's kind of a mix of all three.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's like if the Deviant Art creators were trying to be Bluth, but like with a Disney Donald Duck spin. I don't know. He's cute.
I guess. I mean, it...
Like, the animation for the opening little bit that they have was nice.
Yeah.
But, like, it has nothing to do with this movie.
It's just a weird thing we got fixated on, like, at the start of it, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, because normally these intro things, it's like your standard 70s VHS tape openings where it's like, Zhwam, cinema. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But no, random cartoon duck.
Yeah, it just weird. But the movie actually opens on a monologue of Olympus and the gods and godlike figures that almost walked among mortals or some bullshit.
For being really, like, set in all of the, like, written tropes of Hercules and Mount Olympus, they didn't put a lot of effort into the actual, like, intro or like layout or costumes or character design,
because all it is it's this
it's
like mountainscape that doesn't even feel like it's Mount Olympus. It feels like the Alps. Like
no, I think it's just like the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, it's something like that because it goes from that, and then we get a foggy Corinthian columns and plants.
Then we shift to Central Park.
Yeah, where we get Hercules complaining about not being allowed to go down, but Mars can.
Yeah, and please note that the opening monologue and the mountain scene do kind of feel like a setup for like, okay, well, we could be building here, and then you see the columns and like kind of a Colosseum-esque thing, and you're like, okay, maybe, and then you sweep over to clearly Central Park with people in like dollar store togas, like toga party, and like no one has any direction on what they're supposed to be doing.
And
Zeus is just in a chair off to the side.
We have a little bit of that, but here's the thing: is like, I don't think it's Central Park.
It's in New York, though.
It's in New York, but it doesn't like. But it feels like some rich person's like garden that they were allowed to use.
It might be, but it doesn't feel like Greece.
No,
it doesn't even pretend to be old Greece. This is like fancy New York. It is like solidly New York. Like it has all of the features minus like I wouldn't have been surprised if a hot dog man like walked through the set.
I mean,
later on in the movie, yes, that happens. But like,
yeah, I mean, by the way, this movie is full of like a lot of inconsistencies. So many that like I tried going through them to add a little bit of content, and there's just so many of them.
If you would like to play a drinking game, which this movie is quality for a drinking game, the two things you've got to do is every time Hercules tells people he is Hercules, or announces that he is Hercules.
I am Hercules.
Yeah, like talks to himself in the third person.
Yeah.
Take a drink. You might die.
Anytime he and another person get mixed up with Greek gods.
Yes. And then anytime the Greek gods are wearing just clearly bathrobes or like a sheet.
It's not fair.
That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
But it's like movie-breakingly noticeable, but once you start to like get into it, about the 1/3 mark, it stops being annoying and becomes fun.
Yes.
But
I think for me it was fun from the get-go, just seeing all this bullshit.
For me it was fun from the get-go. For my husband, it took him the first 5 minutes of listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger's dialogue for him to finally get into the movie. Because it opens to that and you're like, okay, this feels a little low budget. It is. But like, we like low budget films. Not a problem. And then the stiffness of the dialogue just really radiates.
I've got a little bit of all that. And
it doesn't matter which version of this movie you watch. They're both stiff.
There are two versions. There is Schwarzenegger doing his original voice,
which is the way you should watch it.
And then there is an uncredited voice actor who dubbed over it because they thought his voice was too heavy.
And granted, remember, this is his first role. And we all know what Arnold Schwarzenegger sounds like. And I would argue that his accent has gotten better over the years.
Yes.
Even if you don't feel like it now, go watch this movie and you will find that it's very difficult to understand anything he says other than Hercules. Yeah. But don't worry, the movie knew that was going to be difficult, and it comes preloaded with subtitles.
And, side note, because I did forget as well, because it's been a while since I've done anything with Greek or Roman lore.
Yes.
Mars is the god of war.
Yes,
it's a nice little jab that Earth's constantly at war, so he's allowed to go down.
Yes.
But speaking of the deities and the garden, like, they are doing some of the most random shit.
I can understand why Hercules is bored. There's like a fountain, there's a girl splashing. It's like Monty Python, but minus the cat. Like, there's someone just splashing around. There's a guy standing off to the side just kind of twirling. There's like one person in the background who kind of has a harp, but it like
one bow and arrow.
Yeah, but it's like it's not. It's like children's bow and arrow.
Yes,
like you'd buy it from the Dollar Tree bow and arrow.
Yeah. But also while I was doing a little bit of digging, I realized, or I learned why we were confused by some of the mythology of like, we're like, this doesn't sound right. It's because they go back and forth between deities. Zeus, Nemesis, Eros, Pluto, and Atlas are the only Greek ones.
Yeah.
And then they pull from the Romans Hercules, Venus, Juno, Mercury, Neptune. And they do all have Greek equivalents, but
they're flopping the names real hard. And then like they kind of flop stories on like some origins and like who's related to who.
Yeah.
And like honestly, if you put away your hardcore Greek and Roman mythology fan, just put that Percy Jackson love right in the corner, lock it right on up, and come back to this film. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's whatever.
It makes no difference. It's just our little complaint about the inconsistency of it.
There's so much. There's so many.
If you're inconsistent constantly, are you not consistent at being wrong?
Okay, but that's the thing though. Is this movie is terribly inconsistent, but there are some some minute finessey points that it like goes out of its way to prove and get right.
They try in their like very low budget way to be like, no, remember how this is the origin story of Hercules? And you're like, why is this important at all to the movie? It's not. But here's the thing. We brought up how kind of obnoxious some people are. Hercules is such a whiny brat.
Such a whiny brat. And it's hilarious because he is the jackedest person on set by a long shot. Yes.
And this is one of the few things in a movie where we can actually see the acting get better as the movie goes along.
Yes, you can, and not just from Schwarzenegger, but like the background and side characters acting gets better too. Like the lady who plays Helena, her acting gets so much better as the movie progresses.
No, I disagree with that. Hers is just
it's real bad, but like I would argue that she actually feels slightly maniacal by the end.
Yes,
as opposed to being like on stage in a high school play.
Yeah, everyone gets like that. They just get so ridiculous.
Yes, there is one actor who I'm going to credit with flawless acting in this movie, and that is Arnold Stang, who is the only actor I recognized other than
he's the only one I recognize besides Schwarzenegger too. And speaking of Schwarzenegger, he was encouraged to audition for this role by his fellow bodybuilder Reg Park.
Yes.
Who himself had also starred in Hercules, or starred as Hercules in Hercules and the Haunted World, Hercules and the Captive Woman.
Whoa.
Hercules the Avenger.
Which nowadays sounds so much different.
Who he co-starred with Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee, in the Haunted World.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I love a small world.
And when Arnie auditioned, his agent had told them that he had stage experience, but I failed to mention it was bodybuilding stage experience and emphasized theater.
But Arnie's agent and my mom with a resume, very similar.
Yeah.
My mom can make me look real good if you give her your resume long enough. You win an award in 3rd grade, she's gonna put it on your resume.
Hey, whatever you did, you probably deserved it in 3rd grade.
That's her argument. Yeah. And you know what? Started this man's career.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, it really did. I mean, so we talk about the dubbing a little bit.
It's bad.
It is so bad. And I think it's just hindsight for us not know. And that's the thing is like it's not good dubbing to begin with. It's like old 80s anime dubbing too.
Yes, where like they were barely given the script and they were just like told fill in what you think the actor said here.
Old school kung fu.
Yes. And like for a lot of those dubs, especially the anime dubs, you try and give a little leeway because A, it's animation, so like the lips aren't real. And then also like they're speaking a different language, so like the lips aren't gonna match up. Arnold Schwarzenegger is speaking English for this whole movie. Yeah. Granted with an accent, but like it's not, and like he's never speaking real fast.
No.
But at no point does the dub line up.
No, and the other thing too is like I think we grew up on this myth that Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent used to be so bad that no one could understand him and that's why he was silent. I don't agree with that.
I don't either. Like, yeah, it's thick, but honestly, my own Midwestern accent when I talk to my family is worse.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not from another country.
No, you sound like such a hick that I forget that.
We are.
Yeah, exactly. I forget you are a hick.
We are a hick.
Not as an insult, it's just that it's that accent that...
It is a fact. That's where we come from. But yeah, like, Yes, his accent does get better later on in his career.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not it's not earth-shattering in the movie. Like, that's not the thing in this movie that ruins it for me. No. Later on, the bear is what does it for me, personally. That and then the weightlifting competition towards the end. God. But, like, that's not the thing that's weird in this movie, so I don't know why they put so much effort into...
I don't know.
Like, there's so much other stuff in this movie that I feel like we could have put that level of effort into, like the costumes.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, the Greek costumes, if we had gone into that a little bit more, if we had tried just a little bit to, like, I don't know, experiment with some camera angles of any kind.
They experiment with camera angles, and I'll get into that.
They're just all wrong.
Yeah.
None of them were the correct choice.
No. But what I will say, what I like from this dialogue is there's one line of, I'm going to do a very bad Schwarzenegger accent every time I have to do this.
That's okay.
I only want to browse around.
Yes.
I can't do it, but
yes, it oh, bless this scene. It really does set up this movie really nicely, though, because, like, you get the dynamic of the whole family and the Greek gods all wrapped up. Like, the writing's not that bad.
No, the writing is bad. Do not give it that credit. The writing is bad. It makes him sound like he wants to go to Earth like it's a fucking library.
Okay, but, like, it is. It is. He's a god on Mount Olympus, and his father randomly went down and is now regretting finding a random woman on his vacation.
In this movie, he is all brawn. He is zero brain.
No, but that's the joy of this version of Hercules. Who else can play Hercules like this? No one.
I don't know. Well, and here's the weird thing, because I did a little digging into it, because I guess in the 60s and like in the up to the mid 60s, like 50s to mid 60s, there was like a bunch of Italian and American Hercules movies.
Yes, there was. Have you not watched them?
I have not. I don't watch a lot of these fantasy movies. Oh man, it or not.
If you enjoy at any point Xena the Barbarian or Conan or anything like that, where it's just like
Die Nibelungen.
Yes, that was.
Except Die Nibelungen is actually really good.
Okay, well, things aren't good, but like, it's the golden age of like men in small kilts fighting, but not fighting because they're all way too muscular and way too shiny.
There are parts of the internet that I fear would disagree with that statement.
I feel like those parts of the internet have yet to really dig down deep into the 50s and 60s Hercules, and also Tarzan. Tarzan was a thing back then.
Yeah,
I have the book of Tarzan, and it's not like the actual Tarzan. It is the word-for-word printing of a Tarzan movie from the 60s with his picture on the front.
So they were doing novelizations of movies way before that.
Oh yeah, I've got several. They're hilarious. I love them.
Great.
And they are literally just someone sitting there like typing out the plot, like Wikipedia style, onto a book and then printing it for the masses for you to buy for $1.25.
Great.
But yes.
Yes, Charlie, great.
This is, while not in that era, this is reminiscent of that era very strongly, which is why I say no one can play Hercules quite like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because back then, Hercules wasn't the Disney version. Yeah. He was almost always more muscle than smart, and he was always portrayed as kind of like the dumb jock frat boy-esque, where it's like he hasn't really come into being a proper like adult yet.
He's kind of like what's that movie? The Creatures the World Forgot, the one I watched recently, that is a caveman movie with no dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about accurate. And like, yes, a lot of it was to stare at someone pretending to be Tarzan or Hercules, but at the same time, like, there was a lot of like this idea of like, oh, well, at the end of the movie, look how much he's grown up and how he respects everyone and all that.
Yeah.
And the reason I say Arnold is the best is because we all know Arnold Schwarzenegger so intimately at this point.
Yeah.
That even young Arnold Schwarzenegger, I have a hard time seeing him as anything other than Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Hercules.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of this movie.
Yeah, I can see that, because I mean, all this we've talked about is all before the title card and the credits over.
And then we zoom in on New York.
Well, no, we don't even do that yet because we're still like in the very generic Italian garden.
That's true. I forgot about the airplane moment.
We still have a whole. We have
the airplane moment.
We have a whole bit before that too, still. Because in the credits, I do love that they give credit to like who did the costumes. Like,
yeah, like it's a good rounded crediting. It's fun to read.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? The Villagers by Miss Loomis Apparel, Christian Dior for Miss Elgs Apparel, Creed Sandals by Greek Sandals by Bernados, Production Vehicles provided by Hertz, and Pan American Airways.
Which is hilarious because later on we find out that like they filmed a lot of this without permission.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Well, and so, like you said, it was all filmed in New York City, and they promote Eastman color. That's a weird thing. We don't really see a lot of like movies up at the front say like, we filmed in this format. Yeah,
no, like this movie was.
Well,
it reminds me of old radio. That's what this movie reminds me of.
That's exactly what I was just thinking of. Like, every doctor smokes Camel.
Yes.
Camel for a healthier, cleaner lung. Do not smoke. I'm just imitating some bullshit.
Yeah, like this is back in the day when Sherlock Holmes promoted Pepperidge Farms, the winery.
Which Dr. Tran started or mimicked with Dickables.
Yes.
Fresh hot Dickables like Grandma used to make.
Yes, this movie is just a visual interpretation of those radio shows.
Actually, yes, you are right. It is what the Lone Ranger kind of was a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
But Hercules and dumber.
I feel like there's probably a Hercules version.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
It is so popular. It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to find it later today.
I know you will. So, also of note, as you brought up, he is not listed as Schwarzenegger.
No.
Instead, they decided to play off his co-star Arnold Stagg and credited him as Arnold Strong at Mr. Universe, which is even longer than his real name. And that's the reason they changed it, because Schwarzenegger was too long.
Yes, and I love how it is so common for actors to take stage names.
Yeah.
And he kind of has one. Like, Arnold Strong is a good stage name, especially for bodybuilder-shaped man. But he doesn't even stick with it. He's credited this way in like 2 other movies.
No, this is the only movie he's credited as this.
Yeah, okay, so like he doesn't even stick with it.
Yeah.
This is it. But I will give them credit for being clever, because while I think most people probably don't recognize Arnold Strang, you definitely recognize his voice. He's voiced a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you are into 50s and 60s TV and radio like I am, you're going to recognize him, especially if you like the old cartoons, because he's Top Cat.
Is he?
He is. He is Top Cat. In almost every version.
Don't listen to her, Charlie. You're not Top Cat.
No.
Hobbs is Top Cat.
Also,
you are Second Cat.
But also, both of you would die in the streets of Top Cat. I'm sorry. You are indoor cats. He says as he walks away to his fluffy bed.
Of old mattress. Or of just sheets that have been there.
So counts.
Yes. And so from these opening credits, which last quite a while with nothing really happening, we actually see Hercules and Zeus start walking across the screen, and then we zoom in on them.
Yes.
Where Hercules is still arguing.
Still bitching.
But Venus is trying to help him. And
it's such a weird family dynamic, because Zeus and all of these ladies, and it's like just the lady deities. There's like none of the male deities.
Yeah.
Are all just like walking around being like, I don't know, I don't think you should go. Oh, but he's just a young lad, don't hurt him.
Well, it's because they're fawning over them. I mean, it's...
Yeah, but like, they don't make it clear that they're fawning. Like, they're not fawning over Hercules. They are fawning over Zeus.
They're babying Hercules.
They are babying Hercules.
Well,
with the exception of one who is actively trying to get him killed.
Yeah, for reasons.
I mean, which, granted, I'll give them that they explain those reasons. Yeah. Kind of.
I mean, they rely on you knowing Greek mythology.
But they also kind of just hand it to you.
A little bit.
They're like, man, ever since you hated Zeus's, shenanigans, you sure have it out for all his half-breed children.
Yeah.
In front of his half-breed children.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, they're like, yes, I may be a half-breed, but I am a son of Zeus.
Yeah, everyone's very confusing, and like, Also, though, it just feels right.
Everyone's a bunch of dicks. And here's the thing.
I love it.
So here's how I figured out, like, why the banter is so stiff and bad. It's because it's like arguing with a toddler.
Yes. The logic changes just enough for them to always be right. And everyone's logic.
Which, what was it? There's a line where Zeus is like, how can you be so... It's not butt-headed. I don't know the fucking word he uses.
But it's similar.
Yeah, he's like, how can you be so unguiled or whatever? It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Oh, God.
It's so beautiful. It's such garbage.
I just realized the only German accent I can do is the Nazi from Doctor Strangelove. Monsieur.
That's the only one, huh?
Please do not clip that. That's the only German accent I know how to do. I was talking with my brother the other day that even though we're like, we could probably figure it out if we wanted to, but neither of us can do German accents. But that I just realized that's the only one I could do because I've used it so much to Philip to annoy him.
Yes. I mean, that's the best way to develop an accent, is to annoy people with it.
Yeah.
This whole set of dialogue is just that, though.
Yeah, no,
also, the awkward, not really long pauses, but too long of a break in between every person speaking.
Oh, yeah.
No one speaks over themselves because we didn't have that many takes, apparently. But
God,
and also in the background you can hear cars honking.
I would not be surprised if this movie was done in one take. Like every scene was done in one take.
That would also not surprise me because like every dialogue feels like someone's waiting off screen for someone to go, go. And then they speak.
Just someone off in the distance with cue cards.
But also, like, it also feels like they're waiting for background noise to stop because of every once in a while you can hear, like, a car go by. Mm-hmm. Or, like, a car honk in the distance.
I actually have something on that because there's one specific scene where that happens quite a bit. But here's the thing. Because it's actually, in my opinion, it has some good bits to it because it's not like Birdemic.
Yes,
or like,
it's not mind-numbingly dumb. Like, you do get story out of it.
Well, and they took the time to actually, like, remove, like, a bunch of the extra noise.
Yes.
Instead of just, like...
Like, it's not unwatchable.
Yeah, oh god.
It's just bad.
Birdemic, for those who have not seen
Birdemic's bad.
Birdemic is purposefully bad. But there are parts where they're talking and they're on the street and they didn't bother to even try and, like, remove the noise.
You can't understand them.
No, it's bad.
Like, you have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah. But also speaking of bad, we've brought up the costumes.
Beautiful.
The chick with the leaf makeup.
Yes, I don't understand it.
There are 3...
I don't understand it.
There are 3 goddesses who show up, where, like, one's just, like, generic, one is Tits McGee, and the other's, like, got fucking Lady Gaga leaves on her face or some shit.
Again, I don't understand it. And, like, for this time period especially, I would have accepted and anticipated everyone wearing boring-ass togas, which we kind of do, but then occasionally we get a few of them who don't wear boring-ass togas and have leaves on their faces and random shit like that.
Yeah.
And so the normal way I've seen this done in the past, especially in the 60s, was we had the 2 diversions. We had everyone in toga, or we had every Greek god and goddess like really play into their character, so that, like, from the get-go you kind of knew who they were, kind of like how the animated Hercules did.
Oh yeah.
We're like, okay, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, she's all in pink, she's got little hearts floating around, that sort of stuff. But they don't do that here.
No,
the goddess with leaves on her face, I don't fucking know who she is.
I don't know who any of them are unless they say directly who they are.
Yes,
I have no clue.
The only one I know for certain is Helen. That's the only one.
Only one I know for certain, besides Hercules and Zeus, of course. Or, no, we're just speaking of goddesses. Yeah. That's a weird thing.
You know Nemesis because she's the only one pointed out, and she's the only one who looks at all different. She has a headpiece.
Yeah.
And also, like, they, like, literally point at her, and they're like, Nemesis. And you're like, okay, that one's Nemesis. Got it.
I just kept thinking of Resident Evil the whole time.
I know.
I completely forgot that Nemesis was a god.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's kind of the entire origin story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so eventually we bicker.
Zeus gets pissed off and throws what's
clearly a piece of wrought iron.
Not even wrought iron. It's like a It's like a plastic tube that they melted to bend.
Yes.
Like,
Yes,
it's shaped like a lightning bolt. Let's add that. That is shaped like...
But like how you drew lightning bolts in 3rd grade.
Yes.
And it's been spray painted silver. Like, very clearly spray painted silver.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Which he throws at Hercules, which sends him down to Earth. And here's the thing. So all the sources I read, because I was confused by this, it says he sends him down to Earth. But it
doesn't look like it.
It doesn't feel like... It feels like Hercules just kind of pieces out and goes to Earth.
Yes, it very much... Like, I would have accepted if every, like, written source that I found as well, also, instead of saying that Zeus sent him down, it was like, and then Hercules just went to Earth.
Yeah.
Would have made so much more sense, because he's having the time of his life fall into Earth.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, too. He's like... here's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Why would he send him to Earth if he doesn't want him to go there? Because he's bitching the whole time of like, yes. Also, when I met your mother on vacation.
On Earth.
Fun fact, Hercules was conceived when Zeus came down disguising himself as Herc's or Alcmena's husband, Amphitryon.
Oh boy, a name.
Which he extended one night into 3, and that's when Hercules was conceived.
Which is not explained at all in this movie.
No, there's a it is explained as vacation.
Yeah, he went on vacation to Earth, but also Earth in this movie explicitly means New York City.
Yeah,
only New York City.
Yes,
nowhere else.
I mean, it's the Big Apple.
But this is a charm of 60s and 70s movies that I kind of miss.
Yes.
Where the entire world is just New York. Like, there is nothing outside of this.
Wrong. Paris.
Or Paris.
Yes, exactly. Paris. New York and Paris are the big ones. Unless you get into foreign films, then it's everywhere else besides New York and Paris.
Yes. I kind of miss this era in American cinema where, like, it wasn't like, oh, wow, everything's, like, located in New York, kind of like how, like, superhero movies are now. No. There is literally nothing outside of New York. We have, like, a single reference to Brooklyn, and then a couple references to Greece. Everything is New York City.
A lot of references to Greece.
But in, like, a joke way.
Yeah.
Not in, like, a serious... Like, Greece might as well be a fictional country in this movie.
I mean,
it is a fictional country in this movie.
The Greece Hercules knows is a fictional country.
Yes.
Actually, no. The Rome.
Yes, that Hercules knows. Yes.
But that's the thing. He brings up Greece, but it's not Greek.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because in this world, Hercules is both Greek, and also there is no Greece, it's only New York.
Yeah, also there's a lack of oil.
Yes, there is.
Which is weirdly surprising, like, with how, like, muscular he is. You think they'd use, like, a little thing to make him glisten?
Okay, but I appreciate...
Or, like, at least some bronzer or something.
Okay, but I kind of appreciate this, because throughout this movie, they acknowledge multiple times that it is difficult to find this man a goddamn shirt. But they put the effort into putting him into shirts.
I mean...
And then he removes them, and other characters on set are like, no, put that back on.
To be fair, he is big, but we also forget that Schwarzenegger's not that tall. I'm going to look this up real quick. I forget how tall he is.
I mean, compared to his other actors and actresses, for this time period, he was taller than them. Yeah, he's 6'2".
Yeah.
But, like, remember, this is back in the day. And his other main star, Arnold, the other Arnold.
Yeah.
He wasn't a tall man. He was a comedian who mostly did originally radio.
Yeah.
So, like, picture that man. That's exactly who you think.
Yeah.
He looks exactly like you think he does.
Yeah.
Imagine his accent. It's New York. It's, hey, I'm walking here. That's what this man looks like.
Give it a little, and I know this is going to sound really, really bad.
His character's name is Prezi because he sells pretzels, and that's what this man looks like he does.
Give it a little bit more of the stereotypical, like, Jewish spin of, like...
Yes.
The Jewish person you know that doesn't have much of a chin.
Yeah, and also, like, from the time period, he does kind of, like, bring up the, like, idea that maybe he does know puppetry.
Who?
Like, the Arnold Stang. Like, he did enough children's work that for me, he runs in the same crowd for the time period as a lot of puppetry.
Okay.
There was a lot of puppets back in the day.
You have to explain a little bit of this, because, like, my understanding of, like, this era is, like, gore fest.
Yes, I realize now that, like, for a normal person, that probably sounds weird. But back in the day, puppets were not scary, they were funny. And being a puppeteer was not that uncommon. There wasn't just one single puppeteer who now we kind of question about being a little bit racist.
Yeah, you got like it's what spawned into like the Chiodo Bros and stuff, yes, and Team America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like this man reminisces that for me.
Okay.
He is small.
Yes, I'm not a tall man either.
No.
So.
I think you and this man are about the same height.
I'm gonna look this up now too, since we've already looked up one. He is actually quite a bit shorter than me. He is my mom's height.
He is 5'3". Arnold String is 5'3". He is 1 inch shorter than me.
I'm about 5 inch. I'm about half a foot taller than him. Yeah. But Hercules, being sent down to Earth, passes a plane and scares a lady that is.
Mwah. This is the best scene in the whole goddamn movie.
But the comedy is so rough for it.
It's so rough, and it's so out of left field.
It feels like something. Even though I haven't fully seen this movie, I've seen snippets of it. Airplane.
Yes, this is Airplane.
It feels
like a quarter second worth.
It feels like Airplane meets Twilight Zone.
There's
a Yeti on the wing.
Yes, there is a random naked man falling from the sky.
Oh god!
And this random old woman is upset by it, but also like really into it. It's hilarious.
She's got that old, like, really smoky crone voice.
Yes, I love it.
And yeah, I mean,
okay, and we should start with saying that like this New York and everyone living in it is I'm walking here crusty.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, there's bubble gum everywhere. Everyone smokes a little bit.
It's old New York.
But not classy New York. Crusty hot dog water New York.
Yeah.
Oliver and Company, New York.
I've never seen Oliver and Company.
You would hate it.
I know of it.
You would hate it.
I'll watch it at some point.
Okay.
I have children around me that I must introduce to old weird shit.
I've got you started on that. Don't worry. We watched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang the other day. I forgot how fucking long that movie is. You forgot.
I have not seen that yet still. And you've been threatening to make me watch it for like 6 years at this point.
2.5 hours. That's how long that movie is.
It's like when I messaged you about Titanic of like, when do you think the boat hits?
Yeah, that's... Okay, when does the weird acid trip happen in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
I don't know. I've never seen it. I just know
Much longer ago than you thought.
I just know the car starts flying at some stupid point. I have no clue.
It's not even a main plot point.
Is that the scene where they sing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang We Love You?
They do sing that when that is happening, but it's not the only time they sing that movie.
Okay, that's the only part of that movie I know.
You would appreciate the random German children kidnapper in the movie. He has a net, and he kidnaps children and puts them in the dungeon.
I'm very confused.
Don't worry, if you fall asleep and then re-wake up during the movie, you are also confused. Honestly, if you watch the movie with your eyes open, you're still confused.
I don't know.
We're gonna have to do it at some point.
At some point. From here we cut to... We're done with that.
Yeah.
Cut to the gods bickering, where we're retold that Juno hates Hercules because she hates Hercules in the way like the people from Silent Hill hate Alessa.
Yes, exactly.
We punish the sin, not the sinner.
But they totally are punishing. They're like, there's a child. She hates the fact that her husband had sex with another woman, and thus she hates the child.
To be fair, it is Zeus.
What
can she do to Zeus?
In this version of the movie, not much.
Not a lot to begin with either.
No, but more than she currently is doing.
Yeah.
Which is standing literally right next to him and bitching.
Yeah, because they all decide to look at him through a crystal ball, which
is not part of Greek mythology.
I didn't even look. I should have.
They got high and they expected a lady in the mountains to tell you the future.
I know. I just didn't do any research when crystal balls became a thing, and
it was about the same time as seances.
Yes. Oh, good old Victorian times where we think it would be cuter if these people did this way. That is how they did it.
Yes. Also, crystal balls burnt down many a house.
Yes.
Do not leave those suckers uncovered.
What help do they send but a Navy vessel to keep him from drowning, which...
Yeah, he's swimming in the Pacific Ocean, and they're like, he's gonna die, Zeus! And he's like, Oh, the best line of this whole movie is, Zeus, save him! Waves his hand gently over Crystal Ball, and then says, there, I have done so.
Pacific Ocean?
Pacific? Atlantic? I don't know.
It's New York.
I don't know these things. I live in Missouri, man. There ain't no ocean near me. We have the lowest education in this country.
Arkansas is pretty close.
You're doing better than us.
No, actually, I saw the weirdest thing. So I've been on a work trip for like 2 days. Mm-hmm. And yesterday when I'm coming back, my navigation device took me some weird route. I had a great time. I saw a chicken crossing a highway. It was fucking weird as shit. It was a lone chicken. A lone chicken.
A lone chicken crossing the highway.
There's no farm nearby. No other chickens. It was a single chicken.
Did you ask yourself why the chicken crossed the road?
Everyone has asked me that. I don't. It's his business. I do not meddle in that chicken's shit.
That is the perfect end to that joke.
Yeah. But I drove by a scuba center. Mm-hmm. In Arkansas.
Yeah, did you not know about the scuba enthusiasts?
No.
In the Midwest? Yeah, no. Well, okay. After the podcast, I will tell you more about the scuba enthusiasts of the Midwest and how varied the two groups are. So I have known both. Both the scubaists who travel to far distant beautiful places to scuba, and then those who scuba here in the great Midwest in the mud.
Is there, like, arguments between the two groups?
No, one ends up with a lot more dead bodies than the other.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome
to the Midwest.
We got lakes and mud bodies.
We got lakes that we built ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. And so, Hercules is brought aboard where he is and here's the thing, he's not just shirtless, he is constantly flexing his pecs through the movie. And
okay.
We're not just talking like, how those guys like, look how strong I am, then they're flexing. Like,
no,
he
like
is fucking...
titty dancing.
Yeah, titty dancing.
Yes, and it's not in the Terry Crews titty dance where like, wow, that man can titty dance. It's in a, is that man titty dancing?
Yeah, it's such a, like, there's a couple parts where it's like, oh, he takes his shirt off, flex, 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 and then there's this scene where it's just like...
straight up titty dancing.
Like, he's drying himself off and one tit's just bouncing.
Yes, he is. I love it so much, it's so stupid.
And also, just as a reminder, Schwarzenegger is 22 in this movie.
Yes, he is.
He is ripped.
He is beautiful.
I like there's this weird thing, like, because we look at bodybuilders and they're all next to each other, but then we see this man next to like a regular person,
and you're like, damn.
Yeah, he is also massive.
He is massive, and also like later on there is another bodybuilder in this film because one wasn't enough.
Oh yeah,
and Schwarzenegger still looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
This is like the most promotion for Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding career ever.
Yeah.
Like, this movie makes you Google Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding career.
Which he didn't last too long after this because he realized his body type was not meant for bodybuilding after spending like over a decade doing it. Which is
hilarious because then the rest of his movies for quite a long time capitalized on the fact he was a bodybuilder.
Except for Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
You can't have bodybuilding and Christmas.
There is a professional wrestler, and they're like, I'm gonna deck your halls, bub. And yes, I pulled the, over, what are
suspenders?
The suspenders, like him. Yes.
I need that as a Christmas decoration.
Also, when we talk about the roughest dialogue in this movie, there's so much shit where, like, he's like...
so stiff.
He's like, call me, or he's like, don't you mean, sir?
I'm the captain.
Sir, it's alright. I'm democratic.
What does that mean?
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, and like, I have studied Greek and Roman history. I took multiple classes on it. I don't know what this means. I have some theories, but none of them are good. And this movie neglects all of the facts I have.
Well, what is one of your theories? Because I don't know. I don't know.
I'm assuming they're trying to like play off a joke of the fact that the Romans/Greeks were like given credit for creating the like idea of democracy.
What the fuck does that have to do with calling him sir?
I don't know. They had navies back then. The Greeks and Romans both had navies. I don't understand.
I don't either.
They also had captains. I'm sure they wouldn't call people sir because they spoke Greek, but like I don't know.
Well, and this is also like just the continuation of him being belligerently dense.
But I love how, and it only works in the original filming. It doesn't work in the dubbed version of this film. But multiple times throughout this dialogue scene, different people like try to give him credit as like, oh, he's a foreigner. There's like something wrong with the translation. And when it's his original dialogue, you're like, yeah, okay.
There's no accent.
But when it's the dubbed version, you're like, what?
Honestly, for some reason, I can see that line being also used in like Doctor Strange, sir, it's alright, I'm democratic.
Yes! It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But I don't know, it just adds a level of stupid charm to this movie.
God. Yeah, because right from here, like, we go to, it's mentioned that the ship's going to New York, but we cut to him fighting the crew because
he's just beating up the crew because he's bored.
No, it wasn't because he was bored. It's because they asked him to do something.
And at this point, you may start taking shots for the number of times that he says, but I am Hercules.
Yes. Oh, and here's the other way to drink to this movie.
Uh-huh.
There are so many upward shots of whatever is happening.
Which makes no sense because, like, normally you choose an upward shot to, like, emphasize height or, like, to create, like, a forced perspective of height, right? Or, like, some form of ominous boding. Yeah. There's no ominous boding in this movie whatsoever.
It's like that meme of the cat looking down. Pathetic.
Yes. But, like, that's not a thing in this movie. Yeah. And he's already taller than everyone else in the film.
Yeah. And on top of that, we get this weird shot from, like, the fist of him zooming in on someone that feels like something stupid from, like, The Evil Dead.
Yes. And I understand that this is the director's debut film. And, like, yeah, he'd done some theater work before, and, like, working with a camera is different and all that. I get that. And, like, I try to give as much, like, leeway as possible, especially if you're, like, experimenting with camera angles. Yeah. Because I do appreciate a good experiment. And some of these do feel like a fun experiment. Mm-hmm. A lot of these feel like we didn't have any idea what we were going to do before we started shooting. Yeah. Like, no idea.
It feels very, what's his name?
High School Film Project.
No, I'm thinking he's one of the most famous Z directors.
That is an accurate description of this filming style. Which is funny because, like, I've seen this director's other work and, like, he progresses significantly from here on out.
Ed Wood.
Oh, okay.
Where, like, it's so loosely shot and they don't give a shit.
This one feels like they gave a shit and it failed.
Yeah. In very much the same style of, like, The Evil Dead, where, like, you watch them, like, oh, we're gonna make this great horror film, and it's just so bad it's great.
Yes. Yeah. It is nice to see where people come from, because I've seen the director's later works, especially, like, way later works. And, like, he's good. He's perfectly good in later works. It's just this one.
I'll take your word for it, because I have seen zero of his works outside of this.
Granted, a lot of his works later were TV movies or TV series, and I've seen a lot of the TV series that he helped direct. And granted, some of them were pre-set up, and he only directed, like, a handful of episodes. Okay. But even those, like, fairly standard, like, nothing to complain about. Okay. Even the couple of his movies that I've seen, like, I wouldn't say, like, wow, like, camera work.
From the director of Hercules in New York.
Yeah, that wouldn't be on the list.
Okay. Yeah,
Granted, I haven't seen all of his work, so maybe there is a progression and I just missed it.
And maybe he didn't have control of the camera.
That's also very true.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, like, yeah, the camera work is bad. I kind of like it, though.
I do too.
It reminds me of, like, back in the day when your, like, friends would be like, hey, we'll make a film in my backyard. And, like, you had no idea what you're doing. But you took everything in one take.
Get ready, Chris, because that might happen in your nearest future.
Let's do it.
I have been given permission.
Yes, you have.
By multiple people in your household.
That is true.
And so now at we have ported in Hercules. We have ported in New York.
Yes.
Where Hercules tries to leave, but they attempt to stop him, which
they offer money to stop him. Okay.
$20 to the first guy who can clock him or knock him out or some shit.
Which I think is about the equivalent of like $80 nowadays.
I have calculations for it. It is a lot more.
Really?
It is a lot more, and it's for something later on, but it's not related to that.
Okay, I get it, deserting ship, but like also I feel like it'd be easier just to like I don't know have someone. Well, I guess like who's gonna arrest him?
Well,
he's Hercules.
I think it's also just to actually like give some more action in the movie right from the get-go because he fends them off with a stupid like 2x12.
It's like really slowly done.
It feels like that isekai manga where like the dude gets transported to the world and he fights with a giant log.
It does feel exactly like that.
Yeah.
Granted, this film plot-wise doesn't have a whole lot going for it. God. There's quite a lot of arguably too long scenes of Hercules fighting random things.
Yeah.
And people.
Yeah, because this is also the scene where, as it's going on, there's a random pretzel guy looking on and gawking. I mean, it's the comedy of the time, but actually, I don't even know if it's the comedy of the time.
It kind of is. It's playing a little bit off of, like, 50s comedy, which would have been, like, really reminiscent of, like, New York style. A little bit stand-up-y. Very radio. Which I don't know
slapstick.
Which I don't know if this movie intended to be a parody of radio.
No, I guarantee you this movie did not.
Well, whoever did was really into radio. Because this movie is just that.
Yeah. Well, Hercules does eventually defeat the guys by pushing them over.
Very gently.
Knocking a couple out, I guess. Because they bash like a table on him and he just like, ha ha ha.
And granted, there are no stuntmen, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's first debut, and at this point he's a bodybuilder, so like, this isn't good choreograph.
No.
There's no choreograph, in fact. This is rough.
It's real rough. So bad.
And like, it's clear that he's trying not to hurt anyone, but also like, he's a bodybuilder, not a wrestler?
Yeah.
Like, he's not fast.
It's not like watching like Batista or The Rock in a movie.
No, because like at least The Rock had like some like footwork to base stuff off of, and like he'd done some stage work via wrestling. Like they have some background in that. Arnold Schwarzenegger's stage was like literally stand still, like walk across stage, pose, walk across stage, pose.
I just had a weird thought. I wonder if any bodybuilders use like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure pose nowadays.
I hope so. I would pay good money.
Weeb culture is such a big thing now that I don't doubt that there's something out there with that.
There's gotta be. If there's not, someone needs to start working on that immediately. Not me, but somebody.
No.
I'm too squishy.
Same. I'm very squishy. But Schwarzenegger is pulled away by the pretzel guy. They go on the run. He's like, quick, we gotta get out of here.
And of course they get in the cabbie.
Well, no, not before Arnold Schwarzenegger grabs a forklift.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, what a magnificent vehicle. But where are the horses?
Yes. And from this point on, the amount of Hercules doesn't understand modern world, but also functions perfectly fine in the modern world.
Yeah, because this is where they go. This is where they get the taxi, and he and Pretzi are in the back. He's like, "Oh, where are you from? Oh, Greece. Oh, I've been there.
Okay, but
I used to know this Greek guy named Apollo. He worked at a bakery."
But if you take this dialogue and put it in a radio show, this would have been hilarious. But it's not a radio show. It's a movie. Again, this movie is 2 decades too late, and it should have been in radio format, and this movie would have been gold.
And I don't watch radio. The only radio I've tried listening to is old radio is Lone Ranger,
which is also beautiful, painful but beautiful.
You can have it.
I gladly listen to it regularly.
I know you do. You gave me a ride to work like a year ago, and you were listening to like some French music or some shit.
Yes, I was.
Like, and here's the thing: we're not talking like French pop music. We're talking like bakery, cafe, baguette.
Yes,
that French music.
Oui, baguette from the 30s.
Yeah, which it's just the dialogue is so dumb.
It is very dumb. It reminds me of someone trying to play off of the whole like Costello jokes where it was like who's on second sort of gags.
What?
We need to get you into radio. God damn it!
I think you need to explain this to whoever listens to this, because okay. And I'm not going to say definite because I've been wrong about fucking Superman. Please explain this to us, Chris.
Okay, so there was a style of comedy pre-70s, granted. Like, I think this was mostly like a 40s, 50s sort of style, and then it like rolled into the 60s some, and then the 70s like hung on to it, kind of, you know how like comedy works, right?
Apparently not.
Okay, like jokes start off as like, wow, new and funny. They get brought into culture, mainstream, and then they kind of like just exist in your consciousness for a while, and then they kind of die off as the new thing really gets going.
Okay.
And so for a while there was a real strong headway of like the two-man stand-up, where you had the dumb man and the smart man.
Okay, you had like the straight man and whatever his psychic. So like Abbott and Costello and
yes. They really like solidified it in its golden age.
Okay.
And so like this feels like someone who was into that style of comedy trying to rewrite it into Hercules-esque, where you've got two characters who are having different dialogues simultaneously.
Okay.
And that is the comedy, is these two dialogues that match, but they shouldn't.
Okay. That makes much more sense now.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, you old
crone. Fat gig user. Yes. I accept my role.
And so the dipshit duo is dropped off in Central Park, where they requested for $2 for cab fare, which...
How much is it?
Well, real quick, Pretzi's a dickhead because one expecting this new guy who just came off the boat to pay the $2.
I do appreciate that. He was also in the car.
Drachmas, which we hear that a lot.
Yes.
Cause I'm a nerd. Mm-hmm. Drachmas are a silver coin that was the former monetary unit of Greece that was equal about to 100 leptas, which was replaced by the euro.
Okay.
I did not get any further into that, but
we don't need.
There's also mentioned that it's the biggest city of the time, and I don't know when this movie is set, but New York City was surpassed as the largest city by Tokyo's urban area in 1965. To be fair, I doubt they did their research.
No, they did not, because I guarantee you at the time,
no one knew.
No one knew, and also no one gave a shit.
Yes.
Especially New Yorkers. Yes. Would not have given two shits that Tokyo was technically bigger.
No, it's the Big Apple.
It's the Big Apple. I'm walking here. That's this movie.
We are going to lose whatever New York listener we have.
Sorry, goodbye.
Also, if we think this movie is in the 70s, and this is where I did the calculations, $2 would be $14.82 today, which...
That is expensive.
And if it was set in the 60s, it'd be $18.25 today, which is still pretty cheap considering it was like $20 to get to the airport.
Okay, let me think about this, because I've taken taxis in New York. Granted, not super recently. It's been about 10 years. But yeah, $14 to go from the port all the way to Central Park, because that's where they get dropped off, right? Is Central?
Yeah, Central Park.
Yeah, that's stupid cheap.
Yeah.
What the hell? God damn it, money.
By today's standards, $2 is cheap.
But also, like, we don't know when this movie is.
Yeah,
and also, like, it's fake New York. I don't know.
No, it's real New York. There's fake bits to New York.
That is very true.
Yeah. But Herc can't pay the cab because
Herc ain't got no money.
But also, he's like, but aren't you honored that I rode your chariot?
I love
your horseless chariot, good sir.
I love Hercules in this movie. He is both horribly dumb and terribly smart simultaneously.
And here's the thing: his solution for everything is just violence.
Yes, I love it
because he decides to fight the cab driver. Granted,
the cab driver is the second biggest person in this movie.
Granted, fighting him is just tossing him to some bushes, and then proceeds to tip his car over.
I would be intimidated by that.
Yeah. Also, this is where I realize, like, all the expressions make me think of Italian Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great movie if you haven't seen it, but
yeah, that's about right.
It's that level, like, and that's the thing, it's not parody like Italian Spider-Man is.
No, but it kind of is. It's, like, again, they didn't mean for it to be parody, but it is.
Yeah. Weirdly.
Yeah, bless it.
And on top of that, so after this, they flee to a college where there's a field team in practice. And then we cut to a woman and her dad discussing that the team's doing so well and they might be brawn, but they also have brains in the classroom. And then also Rod's neglecting Helen.
I don't understand this very much. Like, I don't understand the father-daughter dialogue at all, but the vibe is that the dad's trying to marry her off to one of the college dudes because they're buff.
She's in a committed relationship with Rod, who she's okay with being neglected because he's so focused on going to state. Or whatever, because the college equivalent of state is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't play
the Olympics or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, it's such a weird dialogue because, like, she's having a different conversation than her father.
Mm-hmm.
She's over here being, like, talking about her committed relationship with Rob and how, like, she's trying to support him and, like, she's there watching his practice.
Yeah.
Which in a normal movie would be a, like, supporting, caring partner. And her dad, right next to her, is having a different conversation about how she should marry one of the hot jocks because he's a jock and he's smart.
Which is Rod. But,
like, he doesn't ever say it's Rod. No. He just, like, is pointing to the general field and is like, honey, pick one.
Pick the hot one. Whatever fancies you.
But then, and this is why it's the most confusing, is because she's, like, clearly trying to be the supportive spouse partner to Rob or whatever his name is. We don't really care. Because the only man that her father cares about is Hercules.
Not even yet. Because here's the thing. So Hercules and the pretzel dork.
Accurate.
Not pretzel dork's not involved. Pretzel dork's here for the ride. But Hercules starts shit with the team.
Yes, he does. He immediately walks over and is like, I can do it better than you.
I was in the Olympics. I can.
Your Arnold really accent is garbage.
It is so bad. It was like he's like, oh yeah, I was there. I showed them a thing or two at the Olympics.
And he talks about the Greek Olympics. And I think he meant, like, the first Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, I'm not... I don't know about the history check on this.
I don't either.
There's a lot of questions that are never truly thought through or answered, and you watch this movie and you're like, okay.
Well, and on top of that, like, the scene is just, like, to show off how strong he is, because we get shitty shots of the shot put, and then...
I love how he doesn't properly throw the discus. Like, there's a form to throwing the discus, right? And, like, granted, I'm not a track and field person, but, like, I've watched the Olympics enough to know that there's, like, a spinny step hop thing to do. Yeah. Doesn't do that, he just yeets it.
Yeah.
He just yeets it.
Well, and on top of that, like, they have him throw the javelin, but not before he takes off his shirt and does the whole flexy shit.
Okay, does everyone remember back when Twilight was a thing and people would drink every time the Twilight werewolf would take his shirt off?
No.
Okay, well, that was a thing. This is worse than that. Every other goddamn scene, this man is shirtless. By his own choosing. He's just out here taking his shirt off being like, look at my pecs.
To be fair, it's more impressive.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
If I had pecs like that, I would not wear a shirt by law.
Yeah.
Like, I would force myself to go everywhere shirtless.
show up to work. That's not appropriate. My muscles say otherwise. And then just flex on your boss.
I would paint on a shirt.
I mean, technically it's covering.
I am technically covered. Much like Doug in 50 First Dates, I would wear a fishnet.
He is great at that movie, though.
Good job, Samwise.
And, I mean, speaking of flying shit, we get these really, like, bad jumps.
Like, they cut it to make it look like the shot just keeps going, but they clearly have someone off camera just yeeting the thing.
And it's not even that. Like, we have the shot of him, like, jumping, and then it's just people gawking.
I love it, though, because, like without being fancy, with limited editing and, like, movie knowledge, this is a good way to portray, like, how good he is.
Yeah.
Without being, like, actually good at doing it.
Without using really bad, like, sci-fi CGI.
Yes, like, I will happily accept cutting to the audience being like, over, like, bad CGI of Arnold Schwarzenegger on strings any day.
Oh, yeah,
like,
definitely.
This feels fine. Like, I don't care. It's bad, but, like, I don't care.
It's enjoyable.
It is. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and the other part, too, is Pretzi's making money off of all this shit.
Yes, he's counting the money at the end of this, right? Where he's like, all right, here, and, like, he's talking fairly big bucks, like, 20s and 50s, right?
Yeah.
But then at the end, he's counting 1s and 5s.
Hey, they could be paying him in 1s and 5s.
Which, okay, granted, let's be generous and say this is in the 1970s. That's still pretty good money.
Yeah.
But, like, what? Where'd your money go, Pretzi? But also, like, he, like, gets interrupted and, like, immediately shoves it in his pocket.
Yeah,
I love it.
Because he gets invited to tea with the professor and daughter.
I love that Pretzi thinks tea is drugs.
But
at no point is tea drugs. I love it. I love that Pretzi is the, like, most, all of the New York stereotypes put into one person.
Pretzi feels like, what's a step up from a Chihuahua?
A min pin.
What?
A miniature pinscher.
Okay.
They're like little Dobermans, but they're Chihuahua sized.
And they are just as anxious.
There's a lot more yelling.
Ah.
Lot more yelling.
Interesting.
My neighbor used to have one. He had it on an extendy string. He'd reel it back in.
That's gold. But, I mean, and here's the thing, is, like, they never explain why the professor and the daughter are interested in Hercules. Like,
no.
They don't even say, like, oh, we want him for the track and field team. They're just like, bring him over for tea.
And this is why I am 100% convinced that the dad is having a different conversation than the daughter, because the dad is, like, trying to set Hercules up with his daughter, it feels like. But, like, he never says that, but he's like, and bring your friend. Oh. And this is my daughter, isn't she beautiful? Not for you.
Well, I mean, it feels like dating in your 30s of, like, oh, your one friend's interesting. You should bring her. Or,
like, your friend's grandma who you've never met before is like, I know a gal. And you're like, I've never met either your grandmother or this person. I don't know about this. But also, she's dating someone. And her dad's like, hey, that other man is much stronger than your current boyfriend.
As they proved just a bit here. But I don't know. Because here's the thing.
Hercules is literally a bum off the streets.
As far as we know, we have no clue about him.
That's true. He did just beat questionably Olympic athletes.
The best of the best of the best, sir.
In New York City.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. But from here we cut to the apartment, which we realize that Pretzi and Herc are very unsophisticated by modern standards.
Oh my gosh.
Pretzi's picks up a book, Gods and Demons, Greek, Roman, Nordic, Celtic, Indian, which is an actual book from 1954 by Manuel Komroff, which you cannot get in print right now.
So sad.
There's variations, but I don't think there is.
I do like, because I have multiple, not of this specific book, but of a time period of when that book is published, and also, like, books similar to it. Mm-hmm. And all of these books are, like, each chapter is its own little, like, portion of that. Yeah. So, like, one chapter would be Greek, one chapter would be Celtic, one chapter would be Norse or whatever.
Let's explain to the audience. The book is not like a big textbook. It's like a Goosebump size.
Oh yeah.
Hardy Boys book.
Hardy Boys was definitely thicker. Goosebump, yeah. Goosebump from the book club section.
Yeah.
Yeah, like later Goosebump.
Yeah, a little thick.
Yeah, not a lot.
No, it's enough.
It's enough. And so, like, there's maybe 8 chapters in this whole fucker.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a single chapter on Hercules.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
1 chapter.
Well,
and this guy doesn't know this. They make it out that Pretzi is so far behind in knowledge that he doesn't know anything.
Pretzi is just trying to sell, and I forgot to bring this up, the food of the gods, which
is literally just bagels.
It's a pretzel, and Hercules is like, this is the food of the gods. It's like, it's fucking bread. It's the food of the peasants, you dumb asshole.
No. Bread is for everyone. Gods and peasants alike. You can't look at a hot loaf of bread and tell me that's not for gods. I have no doubt that there's a god who has killed someone over a hot piece of bread.
If that's what we're calling them now.
Yes.
And I mean, there's even stupider dialogue of like Hercules, speaking of admiring, a Pan figure on the table, and it's
a miniature of a famous statue. And I have seen the actual famous statue, and like, it's like the standard variation on Pan, where he's got like the little helmet with wings on, and he's like a little boy girl.
Well, and he's like, Pan would love this. It's like,
it would have been funnier if we had seen Pan earlier.
Yeah.
And Pan was like, I don't know, a middle-aged New York dude.
Yeah. And
like a beer guy. Like, that would have been hilarious. But we don't know what Pan looks like.
I mean, apparently like the statue, or nothing like it at all.
Yeah, like apparently nothing like this statue, but also like enough that he recognized it was supposed to be Pan.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's a naked-ass statue with a helmet on and some wings. And like, we know it's Pan, A, because Hercules says, and B, it's a famous-ass statue of Pan.
I don't think Pan had wings.
On the helmet or on the shoes, depending on which story.
That's Mercury.
Depends on the story.
Pan is the Pan he's talking about is the...
No, that's from Shakespeare.
But this is the Pan he's talking about.
Then it makes no sense.
Yes.
This makes no sense.
It's a little goat Pan.
Well, that
Danny DeVito soccer ball Pan.
Well, this is well before Danny DeVito soccer ball.
Oh yeah, way before.
I don't understand this movie.
No, because right from this scene, Hercules starts hitting on Helen.
But also, like, not. He's, like, complimenting her in, like, not a compliment. But also, like, not in the way they're taking it. I don't know.
And he's like, you remind me of a goddess he knows. Which, the dork is trying to block him. He's like, dude, you're kind of leading into it a little hard. And then Rod arrives, and Herc's like, are you her lover? And he's like, well, what's the meaning of this? Rod is the very stereotypical, like, straight-laced guy, where he's like, how dare you say that? And like, the jokes are all like the stupid dad level, where he's like, I'm just paying her a compliment. You must be so lucky to have a beautiful woman like her that you are lovers.
But also, like, exactly, Charlie, on both ends of this conversation, none of it works. Neither conversation makes any sense. No one is talking to each other. I don't understand.
Yeah, because, I mean, it doesn't lead to anything other than, like, Rod trying to fight Hercules and just...
hurting his own fist, punching him in the gut.
And then getting his... Not even getting his ass beat. Hercules just picks him up.
And everyone goes, no, don't do it. I do like the multiple scenes of this movie of people in the background going, no, don't do that. No. That's good. I like that.
Well, and from this, like, this stupid bullshit, we cut back to Olympus where Zeus is being a judgmental little asshole.
I do like that Zeus and Hercules do feel father and sonny, not in looks, but in attitude.
Yeah, because Zeus is like, oh, he's causing chaos. How dare he? And it's like,
Zeus, put your dick away.
Zeus, the reason Hercules is here is because you couldn't keep it in your pants.
On holiday for 3 days.
You extended one night into 3 because she was so good.
And then you never talked to her again.
Until you needed the sun.
And then you have 4, 5 ladies in Olympus in this version.
One, you turned into a swan and decided not to turn back.
Yeah, okay. Feel like this is very father-son on point here.
It could have been a bonding moment.
But no.
And so Hercules kicked out, but the professor... No, we cut to, like, maybe the next day or something where Hercules, where the professor's like, Helen's complaining to him, like, oh, he's a brute, he's awful, and the professor's like, well, I find him quite compelling. And she's like, yes, I agree.
He has nice arms, doesn't he?
Also, her eyes are so fucking crazy looking. Like,
they are.
She is like the crazy X
Yes.
look.
And I think part of that is the camera work. And also her acting experience, because this actress, her only other two bigger roles are horror.
Came after this, though.
But
she was like she had like 2 parts in a TV show, and then she did this.
Yeah. But I do feel very strongly like back in the day, if you wanted to get on big screen, you went after horror roles. That does seem to be the path that a lot of people took.
It's still what a lot of people do.
And so like this very much felt like she had worked herself up for horror roles and then ended up with this.
I learned Trey Parker and Matt Stone started off in horror.
Yeah, like the crazy eyes, later on the scream, all feels very much like she had been practicing for a horror role and then ended up in Hercules in New York.
Yes, because from here we cut to a zookeeper just seemingly randomly looking around.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Because now we cut from here to a carriage ride through Central Park, but oh no, there's a European brown bear, or Eurysis arctos, escaped and is running around.
Okay, so you all know in Princess Bride how bad the rodents of unusual size are clearly men in suits. I want you to take that and lower the budget by several $1,000s.
Imagine they went to...
Party City.
Not even Party City.
What's the Halloween store that pops up? Spirit.
Which, they are making a horror film now.
About that store?
Yeah.
Good. About how it, like, takes over dead places?
No, it's... From what I've seen, it's a family-friendly horror film.
Oh, boring.
About the stuff coming alive. Some shit like that.
Oh, okay. Well, imagine that this director was given about $20 and told to go to Spirit Halloween and to find a bear costume. That's exactly what this looks like.
Yes.
The first time we watched this, we legitimately thought it was an ape.
Why am I not wearing my bear onesie?
I don't know. Your bear onesie is a better bear costume than this costume is. And the man who is playing the bear puts exactly 0 effort into being a bear.
Yeah. Well, okay. Before we even get... Because, like, we get it. Like, this is one of the scenes where, like, keeps cutting back between night and day. And this thing's just walking and, like, trying to lumber through, like, Central Park.
And, like, bears can walk on 2 legs.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not even a weird thing. This person did no work into being a bear because he tries kind of to walk on all 4s. He never tries to do the bear teeter-totter where they walk on 2 legs and, like, have their little paws up real cute, like. Which is actually, like, a bad thing. You don't want your bear to do that because it's, like, scary or whatever. I don't know. But, like, this actor at no point ever tries to do the 2-legged bear waddle, nor does he fully commit to being on all 4s. Because, like, as we saw with Princess Bride, a man in a costume can be mildly convincing on all 4s.
Yeah. And
this man walks hunched over with his arms near the ground. Doesn't touch the ground. It's like they had to return the outfit later.
Yeah, well, I looked it up. The actor who played uncredited bear in New York.
Does he do any other bear out?
No, but the first there's tits.
Oh, good.
I pulled up IMDb, and some of the first images are like him with a woman, and there are tits.
And they somehow got him to play a bear.
I mean,
where you don't see any part of him.
Yeah,
not a single part, just bear.
The sex perils of Paulette. Bad girls go to hell.
You know what? He's got a fairly long rap sheet.
The Good girl from S.I.N.
His rap sheet's longer than some of the people who actually see their face in this movie. So, like, good for him. He just makes a bad bear.
Another day, another man.
But he's a bad bear.
The Pyrenees and the prudes.
Okay, it's a
forbidden
lot of
flesh.
It's a lot of 1960s titties.
The taming.
Yeah, it's a lot of very shiny people.
This might be right up my alley.
I think so.
But before we even get to the big event, the carriage looks so goddamn gross.
Yeah, it's nasty New York. That's the setting.
Stiff. This is probably some of the worst dialogue in the whole movie. It's not even like comedic. Like it's the pretzy cab dialogue.
Yeah.
But worse.
Yes. And also it feels very much like they literally just pulled over a New York carriage and was like, hey, do you mind if we film in the back for a few minutes?
We'll pay you $20 extra, bro.
Yeah. Because everything feels like they just got told, okay, go. We don't have cars behind us.
Yeah, because we cut back to like them finding out that a bear's missing, and then there's like some public announcement of it's a 600-pound surly and dangerous bear.
This is not a 600-pound bear. I have seen pictures of a 600-pound bear. This is a 200-pound black bear man in a suit.
This is a very scrawny guy, as we've seen
from his pictures. This man weighs 200 pounds soaking wet, and that's how he normally is.
If that.
He is normally greased in oil, and that's how much he weighs. 200 pounds soaked in oil.
Yeah. And also, like, the growling is so bad, too. Like,
yeah, and it's definitely dubbed over.
Yeah, because now the ride is cut short by a bear attack.
Ah! And this is the scene that we all got to simultaneously, and we all went, this is perfect.
This is the crowning jewel, because we got a little bit further, and then your husband showed up, and we're like, Brian,
you have to watch this. You have to watch this. Because the bear and Arnold Schwarzenegger are wrestling like two lovers in the woods. Arnold Schwarzenegger has no shirt on, of course.
Which we know that the bear obviously has experience in his movie choice.
He does, which explains why he chose to fight like a man and not like a bear.
Yeah.
And the lady, who we now know later goes on to have a rather... not successful, because she only does like 4 films.
Yeah, but something like that.
But like, she does do a few horror films. She finally gets into her field of choice by evidence of her wonderful standing in the carriage, holding her face in the perfect 1960s and 70s way.
Beat it! Beat it!
No! Just screaming like the axe murderer is coming through the door to get her at this moment.
And goddamn, what? She faints for some... stupid reason.
And we immediately forget that there was a carriage driver. That man doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Just yeet him right on out of the movie.
Yeah, because then on top of that, like, the zookeepers show up and Hercules has, like, strangled the bear.
He's chokehold the bear to death.
Not even a chokehold, like, full-on serial killer strangulation.
Hands, and they come over and they're, like, poking it, and, like, the dialogue makes it sound like, oh, he put the bear to sleep. No, he killed that bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
He full-on killed the bear.
Which brings him notoriety, because in the morning he's brought into the wrestling arena through the, he's not even, we don't even see him wrestle. He's brought into, like, the fold with the Avenue Army Corp, where we get, like, a flyer which, by the way, I love the names. We have, Bitter Benson versus Hercules the Great.
Yes.
Fireball Phelps versus the Hangman.
Again, this movie should have been on radio.
Abdullah the Ape versus the Assassin. And then...
and all of this flashes on screen.
And Tony Shaw versus Rico Manzoni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, we heard about him fighting the bear in the city park, and we thought, hey, that's a man who can fight. So we're gonna hire him to fight in the ring with the other guys. And people go pay money. And that's how he gets a job wrestling.
We give a nice spaghetti.
Yeah. Yes.
We pay in spaghetti and meatballs.
We pay in noodles.
Yes.
Yeah.
But right after this, the nerd gets bullied into a contract with the mafia with Fat Lips and Nitro.
And I appreciate that the mafia isn't the Godfather's mafia. This is like somewhere around Scarface, but also like the skunk book rug from Zootopia Mafia. You haven't seen Zootopia, have you?
No, I have. It's been a while.
I think they were hamsters or something like that.
I know the hamsters were in suits. And they were like the businessmen that he melted down, like the elephant-size hamster lollipop.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're some of the most stereotypical, like, they're Abbott and Costello mafia.
They're not intimidating at all.
To someone like Pretzi, they are.
Except for Pretzi.
Because immediately he needs a drink of the good old Red Label Johnny Walker.
Yes, he does.
Because now he randomly decides to start reading the book that he apparently lifted from the professor's house.
Straight up put it in his back pocket and stole it off their mantelpiece.
It makes no sense. And right from here we go back to Olympus, where the gods are still doing random shit and hanging around, where Zeus talks about summoning Nemesis, but the goddess, who is the goddess of retribution, by the way, retribution and punishment, but all the other gods and goddesses are like, no, send Mercury, the messenger of the gods, convince him to come back, please be kind, Zeus.
There's a lot of women who might consider wearing a bra, but are not currently wearing a bra, but are also weirdly made up so that, yeah, there's good titty, but, like, the rest of it's bad?
I mean...
If you zone in on the titty, it's good.
Yes.
But if you zoom back out and look at the rest of everything happening, you're like, ooh, Zeus.
I mean... Technically, Zeus is going to Earth for a reason.
This is coming from someone married to a man. You zoom out, you look at Zeus, and you go, ugh.
Yeah, Zeus is very...
Zeus ruins the titty moment.
Yeah, just a bit.
He takes up too much screen.
Yeah, but, and here's the thing, everyone treats Zeus like a dipshit dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he kind of is.
He is.
But also, he's the dipshit dog in charge of this place.
Yeah, and here's the thing, so, and
but also not.
This proves why he's just everything, because he goes back to New York where he's out on the town with Helen, and they see a movie poster for Hercules against the monster, which he's like, oh, that's not Hercules, I'm Hercules. He's not even that good. And they're like, oh, well, let's go see it. And then he takes off his shirt and flexes everything. He's like, that guy did a good job portraying me, kind of shit. It's like...
No, and then he gets offended that someone would portray him like, the Greeks had theater.
Yeah.
Like, this would not have been news to Hercules.
No, exactly.
I don't understand what parts of society Hercules knows.
It's a reason for him to show his supple man-tits.
He does in fact have man-tits.
You could get a handful of them.
That would be 2 handfuls.
Yeah.
The man is shaped like a Dorito.
It makes me think of in Scrubs when the chick gets the breast enlargements, and Doc is like, "You're gonna need a bigger set of hands."
Yes.
Yeah. Also, that poster is a heavily modified one for the film, and they copied and pasted Godzilla from Mothra vs. Godzilla on it.
Hell fucking yeah.
Yeah. Because now they go to a statue of Atlas holding the world.
And it's the statue of Atlas holding the world. You know the one.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the stereotypical one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very generic tourism New York scene. We now cut to a helicopter that comes bearing Mercury, who really tries to convince Herc to return.
Okay, I like Mercury a lot in this film.
Yeah.
Because they don't ever explain how he got on the helicopter, but the helicopter attendant makes it sound like he wasn't originally on the helicopter. Like, he spirited himself onto the helicopter as a form of transportation. Like, Mercury feels like he knows how to be a god in the Earth world.
I disagree with that in just a minute.
Okay, granted, because all of them are dumb.
Well, okay, here's the thing. So we go, he says he's only been here 5 minutes. Takes 5 minutes to get from Olympus to New York.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Warns Hercules of Nemesis. But then he proceeds to jump out the window and fly away. Your theory is bullshit.
Okay, that's true.
Yes.
But that also is like, I feel like the only reason he jumps out the window and flies away is so that Pretzi can have a mental breakdown.
Yes. No, this whole movie is just about Pretzi going through a mental breakdown through everything.
Which is hilarious, because while Pretzi is in almost every scene of this movie, he is so far removed that you forget he exists sometimes.
Well, thank you, Charlie. Good opinion.
Yeah.
Hot take right there. Yes, Pretzi is the strongest character in this movie.
He really is. Because he's the only one who, like, looks at a man leaping out the window and has a mental breakdown.
Yes. Well, Okay,
even the cops later, when he tells them, they're like, New York, what you gonna do about it?
He's on that dope, boy.
How many drinks have you had? And they make it sound like the movie clearly is like, the movie clearly acknowledges there's a drug problem in New York.
Yeah.
But then immediately doesn't want to actually deal with said drug problem in New York and is like, how many drinks of Bud Light have you had? And you're like, people do not hallucinate men jumping out of buildings off of Bud Light.
It depends on how drunk you are.
Bud Light, I think you would burst from water before you hallucinated a man jumping out of a building from Bud Light.
Yeah.
You gotta be trying real hard.
Yeah, I can see that. But this is also the first scene where, like, we actually get a little bit of minimal development from Schwarzenegger, because he's like, I only want to be here for a little bit more, kind of thing.
100 years.
Not even, yeah. That's right, because on their freaking carriage ride, he's like, oh, I'll be here for 100 years or so, and then I'll go back.
I love how the main love interest simultaneously plays so dumb, but also is always aware that everything this man says makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Like, her facial expressions never lie to the camera enough for you to be like, oh, she's a ditz. It's always just enough for you to be like, wow, she's really in here thinking with her dick.
Yes. Her big, strong female dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She in here looking for pecs.
Well, actually, that's a good part, because, like, right from here, we go back to the professor's place where, like, now everyone loves him, even her Rod, who's still hanging around.
Her boyfriend, ex-lover?
The side sausage.
The side sausage who got his ribs cracked and his, like, athlete career paused because of this man is also in love with Hercules.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he beat me up, but, like, he's a nice guy.
He's a cool guy. He's cool once you get to know him a little bit.
But they don't know him. They have no idea of anything about this man.
Well, and we don't know how long he's been there, because he's obviously been through some wrestling matches. The Mafia is still making some money on him.
Sure, but, like, they have yet to put together the fact that when this man says that he's from Greece, he's not talking about a Greece.
Well, and that's what Pretzi's here for, is because he's like, this dude just jumped out a window. He is the real Hercules, like the real Hercules.
And it takes him over half the movie to conclude that this man who fought a bear in New York City is Hercules.
Yeah.
Y'all dumb.
I mean,
Pretzi gets a pass because his name's Pretzi. He makes pretzels.
Also, why?
Yeah.
Yes, Charlie. I don't know. I love this movie for Pretzi's just, like, continual mental break and deterioration.
I appreciate that. Yes, because at like the beginning, you could give Pretzi a pass as like, okay, the writing didn't explain it, but like he's using Herc as to like get out, and like Herc's the muscle, and he's gonna use him to get away, and now they're kind of friends.
Yeah.
But the writing didn't ever explain that.
No.
But at this point, we're too long gone. He could have dumped Herc at any point. And no, now they're friends, but like he's not really his friend because it took him so long to figure out that this is the real Hercules, you know?
I'm still looking out for him.
But also, Pretzi's the only character in this movie that almost makes sense.
No, he does. His absolute mental break at this point is great.
No, the mental breakdown is perfect.
Yeah.
Because even the people who come to check on him are like, you okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I don't think so.
Doesn't get a straitjacket.
No, but it's the 1970s.
Yeah,
you gotta be real crazy.
That was a death sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta be real crazy. Or a woman.
Yeah.
Pretzi's neither of those things. He's fine. He sells pretzels in New York. He's fine.
Good old medicine. Well, and because the movie just gets dumber from here.
It really does.
Because we go back to Olympus where Zeus is just throwing lightning bolts.
Just at stuff. At bushes.
Yeah. And Juno's just also being dumb and a bitch still.
I do appreciate that she is now more bitchy, though.
Yeah. Where now, Nemesis is sent to, or not even bring him back, just punish him. To go send him to Pluto in the underworld, where, to be fair to Juno's point, Herc will have fun there, because Pluto does sound like a dope dude.
And yeah, Pluto does sound like a dope dude, and also I appreciate that the amount of effort that Juno has to put in to convincing Nemesis to not do that is almost none.
Well, to turn him mortal.
Yeah. Like, we have almost no background of Nemesis, other than the fact that she punishes for Zeus.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally our entire background, and then you see her, and, like, there's no character understanding from her costume or her, like, character design. Like, she's not even wearing, like, intimidating clothes.
Generic Greek.
Very generic Greek with a little tiara.
Yeah.
And, like, that's scary? But Juno is like, hey, you know what'd be funny? If we, maybe accidentally kill that guy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
And Nemesis is like, look, your husband's a dick, and you're also a dick. Whatever, just give me the poison.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't even take that much convincing because she goes right to... We cut right to dinner where Hercules is having a drink on the town and she poisons him.
It's easily. And
then she, on her way back to Olympus, meets Pluto at some random backlit gate, which... Oh, fun fact. This is the scene where there's a bunch of cars you can hear because it was shot in Central Park.
Yeah.
And they couldn't edit it out.
No. But, okay, 99% of the Greek mythology gods in this movie have no design to them.
No.
Like, even Zeus, who should be easy, no design. But Pluto's design's pretty good.
Pluto is so flamboyant. Pluto is my favorite character in this movie.
Same. He's great. He is a wonderful mix of, like, hell and Greek and, like, also, like, New York suave.
And even then, not really. Like
he's got, like, a 30s gangster sort of thing going.
He is 2000s gay eye for the straight guy.
Yeah, very much so, but this film is in the 70s.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be intimidating.
Yeah.
Not gay.
No, exactly. But he comes
off as gay. And then later on, when they ask him how his dog's doing, you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Alright, I see it.
Because, okay, Pluto arrives in New York City. He turns out all the lights in the city, which we kind of blank on because it's so quick and just like...
This is the only, other than Zeus throwing lightning bolts, this is the only superpower we really see.
Hercules being strong.
That doesn't count, that's just Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wielding a 2x12.
That really doesn't count. It's very anticlimactic.
And I mean, there's such bad jokes about him coming up to the surface and, like, also his influx of, like, there's an influx of beautiful women in the underworld, Herc. Hey, you can have your pick. They don't get a say, but you do, Herc.
At no point at all does the underworld sound like a bad place.
No.
Like, at no point does Zeus, like, have any real reason for being like, well, you know, I know Pluto's got, like, the whole harem thing going on in the corner, but, like, the rest of the down underworld, real bad. Well, no, it sounds like a party.
Well, and that's exactly it, is, like, Zeus is sending him there for punishment, and Pluto's like, hey, 100-year orgy, bro.
This doesn't sound like a problem.
Oil for days.
This doesn't... And, like, to Hercules, who has already admitted in this film, with his own timeline, 100 years isn't that long for him. 100 years is, like, a couple months.
And I also love the, go back to hell, who's feeding Cerberus?
I love that line.
Yeah. But also, there was no point to this entire conversation other than setting up that Pluto met him, because... Right after this, we cut to the mafia dudes who meet Pluto in a cave.
Yeah.
To bet on Hercules losing a competition, and the mafia guys are super confident because this dude's a long shot plunger, which I had to look it up. Plunger is slang for gangster. Yeah. Or not gangster, gambler.
Gambler. Yeah, but also, like, the mafia in this movie start off as kind of intimidating. A little bit. A tiny bit, not compared to Hercules, but
if you got me in a room with Fat Lips and Nitro,
I'd be upset.
Yeah.
I don't think me personally, as a desert raccoon who's living in a dumpster, would be in danger of these men.
Yeah.
But Pretzi is. Pretzi's a sweet little child.
He's a little pretzel maker.
He's a little pretzel maker. He's in danger.
Pretzel maker trying to be manager.
Yeah. And then during this scene, they're supposed to be like scary back alley deals sort of thing, but the gangsters just come off as dumb.
Yeah.
Like real dumb.
Yeah.
I do appreciate though that this movie took the only accuracy of this movie is instead of handing over a whole briefcase of money, it's just a little stack.
Yep.
That is the
one accuracy.
That is the one accuracy, and I love it.
Which, oh man, because from here we cut to the weightlifting scenes where
they're boring.
Helen has such a bug-eyed expression. It's an exhibition in defense of manly arts.
It's literally just Arnold Schwarzenegger and another bodybuilder.
Monstro the Magnificent.
Seeing who can deadlift more.
No, it is called the Clean and Jerk Barbells.
Who can deadlift more.
Which, there are so many upshots in this scene.
There is a lot of upshots. And also, don't get me wrong, two beautiful men lifting weights, always a welcome. However, the angles and costuming picked are not flattering.
It would, the upskirt photographer from Love Exposure would be jealous of these upshots.
Yeah, except that both of these men are built like Dorito chips and don't have a lot of butt.
No.
It's a lot of pecs and arms that are like at an awkward angle.
Yeah. Beefcakes.
Yeah.
Which Herc loses at 1,000 pounds, which, fun fact, Arnie's best was 135 kilograms, which is about 297.6 pounds.
Damn.
The world record is 589 pounds, held by Georgian weightlifter Lasha Talakadas.
Yes.
And the women's record, because I was just curious, is still hella impressive and better than Arnie's. 412 pounds, held by the Chinese weightlifter Li Wenwen.
Yes, which again emphasizes that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bodybuilder, not a weightlifter.
Yeah.
Those are different. One of those men is built like a mountain, and the other is built like a Dorito chip.
Yeah. Yeah, and
a beautiful Dorito chip.
And quit weightlifting or bodybuilding shortly after this.
It's still beautiful, though.
Yes. But now it's time to flee because the Mafia is going to kill Herc.
Of course.
And this has consequences because on Olympus, Zeus learns that Herc has lost his divinity.
Which was not the agreed upon punishment. He was supposed to have an orgy for 100 years, damn it.
Yeah, what a punishment. How curse you, Hercules, or curse you, Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus feels like a terrible father in multiple ways.
Yeah, which now the Mafia is on the hunt, and Hercules steals a random chariot and rides down New York City.
Yes, he does.
And this is the most modern New York City we've seen as much as we've reviewed, because the last one we had was Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was the non-typical New York.
Yeah.
Also, this is one of the shots that was heavily shot without a permit.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, riding on a chariot through busy New York on street with multiple cars, cabs, and taxis wasn't given permission?
Nope.
No, it really wasn't. Nope. There's multiple people in the background who are like looking around like, the fuck?
Yep.
Not a lot, but several.
And speaking of in the back, a little bit of trivia. One of the theaters is advertising Easy Rider.
Nice.
But now we cut back to Central Park because that's the big shot.
And also, like, it's the 70s, it's New York Central Park.
And that's the weird thing is, like, it feels like a generic park wherever. Like,
yeah. Well, it's Central Park, though, like, with the exception of a couple of shots of it, like, that's kind of the whole idea of Central Park.
Exactly. But it's so bad and chaotic. I mean,
no, it's terrible. It very much feels like they found the corner of Central Park with the fewest people in it.
Yeah, because it's a chase scene between the Supernatural car and the Ghostbusters car.
Yeah.
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 And, God, the big gag of this whole thing is a hot dog salesman who's chasing the original chariot owner, trying to give him his sauerkraut for his hot dog.
Which would never happen.
It is so bad.
That man didn't get his hot dog, is what would have happened.
Yeah, because...
But it is funny. Like, not a lot, but a little bit.
I mean, it's stupid.
Yes.
Because the car's now run out of gas, and everyone goes to hide, where Zeus starts confronting Nemesis, but the Mafia dudes are still on the chase and somehow realize they're in the warehouse they're trying to hide in.
I don't understand how we got to the warehouse, but we're here now.
Yeah, Nemesis reveals Juno's betrayal, and chaos ensues as everyone's fighting the Mafia, and they decide to send Atlas and Samson to help, which, of note, Samson is a Christian figure and doesn't appear in Greek or Roman literature. Also would have been, if you want to take him as a real figure, wouldn't have been alive during either of these time periods. Yeah, no, it makes no sense. No, not at all. Yeah, I don't know. Which, now Zeus is cheering for Hercules to lose, but also getting pissed at who sent Atlas and Samson while they're, at the end of the fight. Yeah. None of this makes any sense, just accept it. Yeah. And also, you should be aware that this fight scene takes way too long. Oh, yeah. This is the longest fight scene. Might we add, the only song to this entire movie is this super generic Italian song. Yes, it's not Greek. It is, it's like Olive Garden. Yeah, bad Italian. Where it's not even, real Italian. It's like Olive Garden Italian. Yeah. Where you're family Italian. And, we ran it by multiple people to be does this even remotely remind you of Greece? At all. Even if we, pre-plant the idea of Greece in your head, does this bring up Greece? And everyone was no, this is Italian. It doesn't even make me think of Italy. And I lived there for 3 years. Yeah, same. No, this doesn't remind me of Italy at all. This reminds me of Midwestern Olive Garden. Yeah. 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 Which was a fancy date back in the day. I mean, to be fair, Olive Garden does have good food. They serve a lot of breadsticks. Yeah. And them breadsticks are good. Yes. And this whole episode I've been doing the Italian. We are cussing people out in Italian. Yes. The buongiorno. Yeah. Margaretti. Uh-huh. Put that away. But Hercules gets his mojo back. Woohoo! Continues his New York City tour, but he has learned his lesson and pleads to return, which gets accepted and leaves the fucking pretzel nerd behind and says goodbye to him through a radio. It makes no sense. Which, this is the only scene that does not have Schwarzenegger's voice on it because this was ADR'd back in the day. So he did not do this to begin with. Yeah. But honestly, the radio, even for the dub, is so grainy that you can't tell. No. Yeah. And it just got me thinking of him leaving the pretzel nerd with a it's the shitty ending to Santa Claus of yes. Anytime you believe in me. But you don't have a snow globe. You just have to think of me. The other thing that makes no sense is, for the most part, the entire dialogue for Hercules specifically has been fairly consistent. Yeah. Musclehead, I am Hercules, how dare you? Yeah. This dialogue does not match Hercules whatsoever. No. I am assuming Hercules has been taken captive and is, asking for help in code. That's how off this dialogue is. Yeah. Because he's all if you ever need me, just think of me. And you're well, it's not even in his voice because there's no accent. It's just. No, and it's grainy and all of the stuff he's saying is this sweet goodbye, but not a real goodbye. Yeah. I'm not really dead sort of nonsense. Which makes no sense. No. This is not what the Hercules you set up all of this time before would say. Well, here's why. Because the movie ends with Herc reporting to Zeus and him Zeus hanging his crown to have a romp himself as he descends he looks like an old rabbi. He looks a lot like an old rabbi. Why did Mercury have to fly? Because Mercury is a classy man. Zeus and Hercules are cut from the same cloth. They are both here for titty. Yeah. And Mercury is here because he fucking has to be, and it's his goddamn job. He's on company pay. He gets $40 a day for food. Yeah, which I never spend that. I get as close as I humanly can, even if I don't eat it all. But, so back to titties. Mm-hmm. The only closure that Herc has is with Pretzel Nerd through a radio. Yeah, he doesn't even say goodbye to his girlfriend. No, none of the other characters get a goodbye. He's just peace out, I had my fun, I am gone. Yeah. Yeah. And the goodbye with Pretzi, if you squint, is a fairly okay goodbye. Yeah. But there's no closure to this film. None whatsoever. None. No. And I mean, That's because the movie just ends so stupidly.
Yes.
And I mean...
It's like, not even left as a cliffhanger, as in like he might be back for a sequel. Which I would have accepted. I
would watch a sequel if it was only Zeus and Hercules just up in Olympus bitching about, like,
he's gone.
Yeah.
Doing it again. Yeah.
Exactly.
I would watch that movie as well. But no, they don't set it up like that. It's literally just like, and forget all of those other characters exist.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, someone who would want this movie to not exist is Schwarzenegger, because apparently he really regretted appearing in this film and has actually vetoed in appearing on television. Though it did appear on Tele 5 and on the 8th of May, right before an episode of a German show called Die Schleichten Filme aller Zeiten, which is a German show similar to Mystery Science Theater 2000, who had wanted to review it in 2013, but Schwarzenegger said no. And he has a clause in his media interviews that he can terminate an interview at any point if they bring it up without his prior permission.
Which, okay, I understand that this is not his strongest work.
Yeah.
But with that said, the obvious jump in talent between this and not even his later works, just his next couple of works, is significant enough that, like, I don't feel like it's worth not talking about.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's rough. It is a first go for a lot of people. I have willingly watched worse.
Yeah.
I own worse.
Well, I own worse, and we'll get into that some point.
Yours makes more sense than mine.
Mine is hidden behind a shelf for good reason.
Mine was beloved by an entire generation, and they couldn't draw the eyeballs on straight.
Mine has titties.
Mine arguably kinda has a titty.
Kind of.
They forgot to draw on the clothing.
Yes. But, I mean, you're right. You're exactly right. I mean, it started his career, and honestly, I would say, even though most of us, like, Terminator and Conan really are the movies that started out for us, like, and I chose it, first off, we chose this movie because we couldn't decide which Schwarzenegger to do, and so
we picked one we both didn't know.
Didn't know and started from the get-go, and it was also kind of like a fuck you to my cousin, just a little bit of, like, how dare you choose a movie for us? I mean, granted,
it was a good choice.
Pick a movie. If anyone has suggestions or wants to hear stuff, reach out to us. But,
yeah, and we'll do this.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be something stupid that you won't expect. But honestly, like, and here's the thing, like, I enjoyed this movie.
I did too.
It is so bad, but it's entertaining.
It is very entertaining. And, like, yes, the dialogue is bad. The writing is bad. The costuming is bad. But no, like, despite all of that, everyone in this puts in enough effort that I enjoy it.
Well, and that's the thing, is the dialogue's not bad, it's baffling.
Yes, it is baffling, but, like, in the same way that, like, stand-up from bygone eras baffles me.
Yeah.
Where, like, I don't get the joke, but, like, I get that it's funny.
Yeah.
And, like, yes, the acting is bad, but, like, honestly, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Individual cut scenes, not the worst.
No, I mean,
it's just put together poorly.
I mean,
honestly, a little bit of editing cleanup and a few reshootings, this movie would have gone from C to B.
But that's why I like it. I
like that it's not. Yeah, same.
But that's why I love amateur filmmaking, is that it's because it has that level of not that they don't give a shit. It's the fact that they don't have the time to refine it and perfect it. And they don't have the time, like fucking George Lucas, to go back and remaster shit and fuck it up.
Yeah, and the other thing that I really, really like about this is, with the exception of the character Pretzi, you can see a lot of potential in just about everyone who's in this. Because for a lot of the actors and actresses in this was one of the first, if not the first, role that they had.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, they're not polished yet, but, like, there's some potential there.
Yeah.
Like, you could see where people could go in different ways. Is Greek mythology the future for all of them? No. But, like, you can clearly tell who would be good at horror films, who would be good in action films.
Yeah.
And who is good at comedy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a bit to this movie, and I mean, it's not worth a super deep dive, but it's fun.
It is fun.
And so, I guess, Chris, first off, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I know it's dumb, but this is the kind of dumb that's really fun to watch with a group of friends, or if you're having a bad day. It's so dumb that you don't need to know the plot.
No.
It's entertaining as hell.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is something I would have on just to have something stupid to show. I will show nephews and nieces this movie.
Yes, and this is delightfully one of those movies where, like, it doesn't really matter who you are trying to get to watch with you. Because we do talk about how, like, yeah, we would recommend this, but to a certain person.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those. This is for anybody could pick it up and be entertained by this.
Exactly. And so, on top of that, I would recommend that. But we are introducing a new rating system going into the next year. And we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but
we wanted to try it out.
Yeah, we wanted to try it out, and we felt like Lord of the Rings was a good stopping spot to transition over to this.
Yes.
First off, I do have to give our buddy Laffenstein for the base idea for this, and that is that we will be rating the movie whether it is good, bad, or weird, or an in-between, like good, bad, or the holy trifecta of our podcast, good, bad, and weird.
Ooh.
But also just check out Laffenstein on Twitch. Super chill and dope dude.
Yes.
Great content. He's knocking it out of the park. Weird West right now is fantastic. But he's going to finish it before this episode comes out. So still check him out regardless. But for me, I give this movie a rating of good bad.
And I double that.
It is the perfect... not even like a storm. Like, it is just... You can feel that they were trying to do something fun.
Yes.
But it's just so bad.
And this is the good bad in the sort of way where even if you are not into bad movies like we are, you're going to watch it, you're going to have fun with it, and it's one of those things that you're going to talk to people about after you watched it.
Yeah.
It's not one of those ones where you're going to be like, oh man, I wasted my time watching this.
No, and that's the thing.
You don't waste your time watching this. Like, it is truly entertaining.
Yeah, and it's fun.
It is fun. It is all around fun.
Yeah, it is good bad. Definitely give this movie a watch.
I agree.
Anywho,
yes.
This has been The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Thanks for watching.
Peace. And while we're at it, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves for year 4. Let's roll that new outro.
Woohoo!
Peace! Thank you for stopping by this here town of The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. We appreciate your listenership, and if you want more of our takes in your life, feel free to check us out on social media at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, or TGTBTW for short. As well, if we missed a fact, your favorite part of a movie, or just have a suggestion and want to reach out and say howdy, feel free to email us at tgtbtwpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to join our Discord at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, where we talk about movies, just share random banter here and there. And always check out our podcasters, streamers, or any other content creator we shout out in our episodes. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Peace.